No, well, certainly that's not how I intended it to be perceived by you or anyone else. What I was doing was highlighting some of the positive economic news we've had on unemployment, with that falling, on the most recent figures for growth, saying that we can be cautiously optimistic, but agreeing with the Governor of the Bank of England that it's going to be a choppy recovery. I mean, how can it be anything other than a choppy recovery when we've had the biggest economic crisis of our lifetimes and the new government has inherited the largest budget deficit in the G20? So, we face those challenges, but I thought it was a perfectly reasonable thing to do to draw people's attention to some positive economic news we've seen recently. There are still big challenges out there.
There's light at the end of the tunnel.
Well, look, there are still big challenges out there in the global economy, not least. The American situation is not as positive as the world would like. The Japanese growth figures weren't very positive, even if the German ones were. We still have sovereign debt concerns about the sustainability of public finances in the Eurozone. And I would argue that the British budget has helped take Britain out of a category of countries people were looking at and being concerned about and put it in the category of countries that people are much less concerned about. So I think we've reduced the downside risks as well, and that was something the Governor of the Bank of England pointed to last week. I've taken the biggest risk facing the British economy when I came to office, which was the sovereign debt risk, concerns about Britain's ability to pay its way in the world, the things that lots of international investors were saying about Britain, and I've dealt in a decisive way with it in the budget. And I think that's a fundamentally fair thing to do, by the way, because the people who suffer most when a country loses control of its public finances are the poorest and the most vulnerable. But I've also laid the foundations for a strong and steady recovery.